I was being surly, rude, and mean at a wedding and left early, and it ended up saving everyone from a complete disaster. So this was my cousin Jake's wedding last summer. I really didn't want to go because Jake and I have this weird history where he's always been the golden child and I'm just the screw-up cousin. Plus his fiancée Emma had this fake sweet personality that made my skin crawl. But my mom basically threatened to disown me if I didn't show up. The wedding was at this fancy country club that Jake's new in-laws paid for. Everything was white and gold and probably cost more than my car. I showed up in my only decent suit, which was navy blue, and already felt out of place with all these people in their designer outfits. Right from the ceremony, I was in a bad mood. The priest kept going on and on about eternal love and commitment while I'm sitting there thinking about how Jake cheated on his last girlfriend. Then during the reception, I got stuck at a table with Emma's weird aunt who kept asking when I was getting married and why I didn't have a nice girlfriend like Jake found. The food was taking forever to come out and I was getting hungrier and more irritated. When they finally served dinner, it was some tiny portion of salmon that tasted like cardboard. I made some comment about how they probably spent more on the flowers than the actual food, and Emma's mom overheard me. She gave me this look like I just insulted her entire bloodline. Then came the speeches. Jake's best man told this story about how Jake was such a loyal friend and would never let anyone down. I actually snorted out loud because that's complete bullshit. Emma's dad talked about how his daughter deserved only the best and had found her soulmate. I was rolling my eyes so hard they probably could have fallen out. By the time they started the dancing, I was done. The DJ was playing this cheesy romantic music and everyone was acting all lovey-dovey. I went to the bar and ordered a whiskey, but the bartender said they were only serving wine and beer. That was the last straw for me. I found Jake and told him I had to leave early because I wasn't feeling well. He looked annoyed but said whatever. Emma didn't even say goodbye, she just waved from across the room. I grabbed my jacket and walked out to the parking lot around 9:30. I was sitting in my car checking my phone when I heard this commotion from inside. People were yelling and there was this loud crash. I thought maybe someone fell or the DJ equipment broke, but then I saw people running out of the building and someone was screaming about calling an ambulance. Turns out the ceiling in the main ballroom had a massive leak that had been building up all day. Right when everyone was on the dance floor doing some group dance, the whole thing gave way. Water came pouring down along with chunks of wet plaster and part of the ceiling tiles. It soaked everyone and knocked over the cake table and all the decorations. 3 people had to go to the hospital, including Emma's grandmother, who got hit in the head with a piece of plaster. Emma's dress was completely ruined, and she was crying in the parking lot looking like a drowned rat. Jake was running around trying to coordinate with the venue manager, who was freaking out because this was apparently their biggest nightmare. The whole reception had to be shut down. The dance floor was flooded, the band equipment was destroyed, and half the guests were soaking wet. Some people were trying to salvage the gifts, but most of the cards got water damaged. The photographer was taking pictures of the damage for insurance purposes instead of happy wedding photos. I just sat in my car watching this chaos unfold. Part of me felt bad for Jake and Emma, but honestly another part of me thought it was kind of fitting. All that money spent on a perfect wedding in nature just said, nope. The venue had to comp the entire reception and cover everyone's dry cleaning bills. Jake and Emma ended up having their first dance in the hotel lobby later that night with like 10 people watching. Not exactly the fairy tale wedding Emma had planned. My mom called me the next day asking why I left early and if I knew what happened. When I told her I had already left before the ceiling collapsed, she said I was lucky. Apparently some of the guests thought the whole thing was cursed because of all the family drama and tension. The insurance company investigated and found out the venue had known about roof problems for months, but hadn't fixed them properly. They ended up getting sued by multiple guests and had to shut down for renovations. Jake and Emma got a full refund plus damages, but their perfect wedding day was pretty much ruined.